The Atlanta Falcons may have really just messed up. They recently hired Raheem Morris, and Raheem Morris based on references around the league, players included like Jalen Ramsey, thought of as a really great mind. Even the personnel on the Rams recently has come out and stated that they really wanted him to get a head coaching job and were happy that he got hired away from the team just because they think he's that great of a guy and candidate in general. But I can't help but think that the Falcons may have went in the wrong direction here. Not because I think Raheem Morris is a bad coach, but I think they may have had the opportunity to create quite an amazing 5-year window here with one of the all-time greats, and maybe even two of the all-time greats. You see, there's not many teams that have the weapons on the offensive side of the ball that the Atlanta Falcons have, including that backfield with just an extreme amount of depth, starting with Bijan Robinson, then looking at the tight end, Kyle Pitts, and thinking to yourself that that's probably one of the biggest unicorns in the draft ever. And then Drake London on the outside as a trio of talent for the 3 skill positions on the offensive side of the ball that are used most commonly in the modern game. And you look at that, and I feel like you just have to think that anyone who brings an offense that's reasonably talented will be able to create something great. That's why I think Arthur Blank should have actually hired Bill Belichick instead of Raheem Morris. Now that may seem like a strange statement considering how Bill Belichick's offense produced last season, but I think that Arthur Blank could have done it while also placing a few restrictions. He would have wanted to know ahead of time who Belichick would have went with as his offensive coordinator, and secondly, he would have still wanted someone else to have roster control as a general manager. And I think with Bill Belichick moving positions, given that he was offered this head coaching job, I think he definitely would have been willing to take the deal, seeing as it doesn't seem that he has any other opportunities for this season at this point in time. And that's wild to think that Bill Belichick won't be coaching in 2023. The number one reason I say that is because even though there are great defensive coordinators around the league, I can show just some highlights from just games I've attended with the Patriots playing in them, where their special teams and defensive side of the ball have made plays unlike any other teams I see around the league at any sort of a consistent level. But Belichick's coached defenses do make them on a consistent basis, and special teams as well. They're really well coached in those areas. So I think if Arthur Blank came in and actually told Bill Belichick from the start and hired him that he needed to know who the offensive coordinator would be ahead of time and given the general manager position to someone else besides Belichick, they would have been in a great position. And I say that all to come back to the 5-year deal thing I referenced earlier. If they signed Bill Belichick to a 5-year deal and said, this is how long we're going to do it, and that's it. Because age does become an issue when you look at Bill Belichick's age at this point. But I have no doubt with what I've watched from him in the last 5 years that he's not dropping off at this point in time. He could in the future, but he hasn't yet. And I think the next move that should have been done to really push things over the top, to make this Falcons team a team that over the next 5 years could just be ridiculously hard to stop, would be to also add a great rookie quarterback. The Falcons are the team I chose to talk about this with because I think there's a lot of teams that get stuck in this purgatory-like state where they get stuck in the middle of the league because they either have a quality quarterback and not enough supporting talent, like I've sort of referenced with the Buffalo Bills in my last video, or the opposite, where they have a ton of talent and they're not able to adequately supply a quarterback to it. And the Atlanta Falcons are probably the best example of it. All these people around the league are talking about how they could go get Justin Fields or Kirk Cousins. I think they should do whatever they need to do to trade with the Chicago Bears to get the number 1 overall pick and draft Caleb Williams. I see no scenario where if Caleb Williams is the starting quarterback for this team next season, you don't see a massive jump in how great they play as a team. Not only that, but I think the other important thing to note with this team is that if Belichick was the coach and Caleb Williams, they were able to trade for the top pick, because unlike some other teams that may want to trade up to 1 to get Caleb Williams for the here and now and not just building for the long-term future, I think they may be the only ones who have enough capital because they're only at pick 8, unlike some other teams that may be in the teens or further. And that's the number one thing I want to reference with this. Just imagine a team with Bill Belichick coaching, the talent on the offensive side of the ball being Caleb Williams, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London, whoever else they can add as well, and other guys on the roster that are depth. Like I said, the amazing depth at the running back position in general. And then Belichick coaching the defense and the special teams, having guys like AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates to work with, quickly become one of the best teams in the league. And over 5 years with Belichick, not only that, but Caleb Williams would be on a rookie contract and get his 5th-year option, and it would be the perfect amount of time to potentially start looking at this becoming the next franchise to look something like the Kansas City Chiefs in recent memory. Because someone's going to get this guy, and he's the closest thing we've ever seen to this guy. So you better hope it's your team.
They love to share the ball. He's not been targeted yet. And Caleb is looking for just about anybody. This is where he really is devastating when he starts becoming a maestro. Look out. There it is. Touchdown. Dorian Singer